Fadil, first of all, just tell us how bad these protests have been and in a bit more detail about what exactly they're about.
Sure, yeah, we've seen quite a heavy-handed police response. We've heard of and seen footage of tear gas being used in very dense residential neighborhoods as well, even at night. Interestingly, one major police union has come out and said that these protests shouldn't be met with a security response. We've seen others really criticizing the police response to these protest demands. Of course, these demands go back to basically calling on the government to live up to its commitments to an agreement that it made with protesters back in 2017 to hire people and also to invest in a local development fund. Tataouine has very high poverty, very high unemployment, very little public services and infrastructure, yet at the same time, it's a region that's quite rich in oil and gas. So locals said they actually would like to see more of that oil and gas wealth reinvested back into the region. So what they did in 2017 was shut down transportation of these hydrocarbons, and some people are threatening to do that again this year.
So is there any sign of movement or change of policy then from the government?
Well, the first response we saw from the government actually had been arresting one of the protest leaders Saturday night, which really sparked the major clashes on Sunday and yesterday. And that was, protesters said that those arrests were actually political. The Interior Minister has come out and said that, these people were violent protesters. But after a lot of criticism, we've started to see some movement from the government. We've seen them say they'd actually like to send a national labor union to try and mediate with protesters. And they've also scheduled this Friday to have a government ministerial session looking at the demands and the economic development demands of protesters. But so far, we haven't seen any public announcements from the Prime Minister or the President specifically on these protests.
Fadil Aliriza, thanks very much for joining us now from Tunis.